All right, let's dive into one of the most intense and famous trials in all of history. But here's the thing, it doesn't really happen in a courtroom. It unfolds in gardens, in courtyards, and in the halls of power. We're going to walk through this incredible story of betrayal, raw power, and a final haunting question about what truth even is. So picture this. It's late at night in a garden. A mob shows up with weapons and torches, ready to hunt a man down. But instead of hiding, Jesus steps right into the light. He knows exactly what's coming. And his first words? They aren't a plea. He asks them, "Who is it you want?" He completely flips the script. In that moment, he's not the victim, he's in control. And this whole confrontation kicks off with a massive betrayal. One of his own, Judas, leads the way. And he's not alone. He's got a whole detachment of Roman soldiers and temple officials with him. The whole scene is lit by torchlight, a clear and intimidating show of force. The arrest itself is just a mix of the divine and total chaos. When Jesus simply says, "I am he," these hardened soldiers actually recoil and fall to the ground. It's a moment of pure authority. Then, in the middle of all the confusion, you've got Peter, who draws a sword and goes on the attack. But Jesus immediately shuts it down, telling him to put the sword away. He makes it clear that this is not how this battle is going to be fought. And right here, you see two completely different worlds colliding. Jesus talks about his fate as a cup to be accepted, something he has to go through. Peter, on the other hand, responds with violence, with resistance. It's this perfect illustration of the whole conflict: spiritual acceptance versus worldly force. Okay, so after the arrest, they tie Jesus up, but he's not taken to a public court. First, he's brought to Annas, who's this really powerful religious figure, the father-in-law of the high priest. This kicks off a series of shady, behind-the-scenes interrogations. They're not looking for justice. They're looking for a charge, anything that will stick. In this secret hearing, Jesus just refuses to play their game. He doesn't get into some big theological debate. Instead, he challenges the whole process. He points out how ridiculous it is to hold a secret trial for someone who always taught in public. His defense is simple and honestly brilliant. "Ask the people who heard me." He turns their closed-door hearing right back on them. And what's the response to this incredibly logical and powerful challenge? Not a counter-argument, not a debate. An official just slaps him across the face. This moment says it all. When their flimsy process is challenged by truth, their only answer is brute force. And again, Jesus doesn't fight back. He just calmly asks a question that cuts right to the heart of the injustice. He sets up this perfect opposition: truth on one side, violence on the other. It's a disarming response that leaves them with absolutely no moral high ground. Now, while Jesus is inside, facing his accusers with this incredible calm, a completely different kind of trial is happening outside. His most passionate disciple, Peter, is being tested. Not by powerful priests, but by ordinary strangers huddled around a fire. And his story, well, it's a story of pure human fear. 3. That's the number that's going to haunt Peter. Just hours after promising he would literally die for Jesus, he's about to deny that he even knows the man. 3 times. Each denial is another chip away at that brave promise. You can just feel the pressure building on Peter. At first, it's a servant girl who asks him. Then, a few more people around the fire start looking at him, pressing him, and each time his reply is the same panicked denial: "I am not." The final accusation is the one that really hits home. It comes from a relative of the exact guy whose ear Peter had sliced off earlier. This is an eyewitness. He places Peter right at the scene. There's no wiggling out of this one. And right after that third denial, a rooster crows, just like Jesus said it would. It's not just some random farm animal. For Peter, that sound is the blaring alarm of his own failure, the prophecy coming true in the worst possible way. So now the whole situation escalates. The Jewish leaders take Jesus to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. And here, the game completely changes. The accusation isn't about religion anymore. Now it's political. Now it's about being a threat to Rome. Pilate, being a no-nonsense Roman, cuts right to the chase. He asks the only question that matters to him: "Are you the king of the Jews?" He's trying to figure out if this man is a revolutionary, a threat to Caesar's power. Jesus' answer here just completely reframes the entire conversation. He doesn't say no. Instead, he defines his kingship in a way Pilate can't even begin to understand. He basically says, if my kingdom was a worldly one, my followers would be fighting for me right now. The fact that they aren't is proof that my power comes from somewhere else. And this is where two totally opposite worldviews just slam into each other. For Pilate, power means legions, swords, and control. Jesus is talking about a kingdom that's not built on force at all, but on truth. It's like they're speaking two different languages. And this is the crescendo. When Pilate pushes him and asks, "So you are a king?" Jesus delivers his ultimate mission statement. He says the entire reason he exists is to bear witness to the truth. He's not just a king of a place. He's the embodiment of truth itself. And he says that everyone on the side of truth recognizes his voice. Pilate is completely baffled. He actually tells the leaders, "I find no basis for a charge against him." But he's stuck. He can't convict him, but he doesn't want to make the crowd angry. So he looks for a political out, a way to pass the buck. He turns the decision over to the people. He uses this local Passover custom, where the governor would release one prisoner as a kind of goodwill gesture. This sets the stage for one last, incredibly dramatic choice. And the choice could not be more stark. On one side, you have Jesus, this man who claims his kingdom is about truth. On the other side, you have a man named Barabbas, who was a known rebel, someone who took part in a violent uprising. Barabbas is the exact kind of king Pilate was afraid Jesus was. And the crowd's response is instant and loud. "No, not him! Give us Barabbas!" They choose the man of rebellion, the man of worldly violence, over the man who claimed to be truth. It's a shocking verdict, delivered not by a judge, but by the mob. So right after Jesus has made his stand for truth, and after the crowd has rejected it, Pilate turns away and asks this haunting, cynical question. What is truth? And you know what? He doesn't even wait for an answer. And that's the question that just hangs over this entire story, leaving us to wonder, in a world of power, politics, and fear, what is truth? And would we even recognize it if it was standing right in front of us?